Hey guys, welcome to Community Worship. We are so happy to have you with us in this ministry. And in today's video, we want to go over our playbook, which is going to be your bread and butter, a document that you're going to be referring to all the time in terms of call times, practices, set lists, roles, and role privileges, which we're going to talk about in a sec. So let's dive into our playbook. Welcome to the team. We're so excited to have you a part of our team and to see you grow in your worship and service to God. Why do we do what we do? Why do we exist? We exist to lead people to the presence of God and to worship Him through music. What are we committed to? We're committed to growth. We believe there's always room to learn. We're committed to service. We believe our greatest leadership is our service to others. We cannot lead anyone to a place we've never been. We're committed to excellence. We prepare like it's our first Sunday and always bring our best. We're committed to humility. We have a Philippians 2:3 attitude and we point people to Jesus on and off the platform. We're committed to fun. We enjoy what we do and we learn from our mistakes. So what do? We cultivate community. We plan and schedule. We prepare and rehearse, play, sing, and dance, and evaluate and improve. Scheduling. On scheduling day, all scheduling takes place on planning center services. On scheduling day, the 10th of every upcoming month, a serving request will be sent to all servant leaders from their respective teams for the following month. Block out dates, which are dates where you are traveling, you are working, where you're not able to serve, should be placed by the 9th of every upcoming month for any date, not just on Sundays. Following scheduling day, our goal is for all servant leaders scheduled for the upcoming month to respond to their serving requests within the week, so by the 16th of every upcoming month. If you declined for a service or event, please include a description of why you declined within your response on Planning Center. So work, travel, school, etc. Please always be proactive in communicating. If you're unable to serve when you're scheduled, be sure to notify your team leader and worship admin and find someone that can cover you, keeping your leaders updated throughout the process of finding that coverage. Worship leaders will also be responsible for submitting set lists at least a week before rehearsal dates. Sunday call times. So for first service, 9 a.m., the call time is 7:30 a.m. For our second service, which starts at 10:45, call time is at 10 a.m. And for our third service, 12:30 p.m., call time is at 12 p.m. And these call times remain whether or not the service has yet finished. Call times for special events and CYN services that start at 7:30 is at 5:30 p.m. All other events will be communicated beforehand. Expectations. Rehearsals. As a part of the team, everyone is expected to be in rehearsals. Rehearsals are a space where we get to put together our individual practice during the week. This space also allows us to work through some transitions from song to song and make sure we flow and don't have any awkward or empty spaces. Rehearsals also allow us to relieve pressure and take some time to pray, read scripture together, and focus our attention as a team on Jesus. Rehearsal shouldn't be the first time you play or sing a song. It shouldn't be the first time you're looking at Planning Center for teams or your song lists. It's when we put all our individual parts together. Practice takes place during the week on your own personal time, and we come together to rehearse. Be attentive and listen to your team visionary, front of house, worship leaders, and MD. Punctuality. All team members are expected to be on time for call times, rehearsals, pre-briefs, services, team meetings, and creative nights. The lateness of one team member affects everyone else on the team. The lateness of our team affects all other teams serving. This is a team effort. Musicians. Call time means being ready for sound check. This means that your instrument is tuned and ready to go, gear is all set, etc. Vocalists, take the time to warm up before you show up to serve. If you have any questions about parts, don't hesitate to ask. And sound techs make sure that everything is ready for sound check when vocalists and band arrive. This means that everything is turned on, charged, in its proper place. Communication and flexibility. Communication is key. It's much better to lean more on the side of over communicating rather than under communicating. Please try to respond to texts and calls as soon as you can. Things are subject to change on any given Sunday. Let's be ready as a team to any adjustments or last minute changes that might come our way. Sundays. When Planning Center requests are sent, you will see the time and date of the service you've been requested to serve. If you know you will not be here a certain day, be sure to block out the dates with a description on Planning Center in advance. Serving team is expected to serve until the end of the service. Please notify your prospective leader if you have any questions. Services. This is no performance. We need to engage and cultivate an environment with which the congregation will be comfortable in worshiping with us. So smile, dance, raise your hands, make eye contact with people in the congregation, and have fun. Have a good posture and stage presence, because people are looking at you. Watch your facial expressions and be mindful of smiling and truly enjoy what you're doing. Attire. All worship team members are to wear appropriate attire for events, services, conferences, etc. Remember, we serve on an elevated platform with bright lights. Avoid anything that is overly tight, short, sheer, low-cut shorts, big logos, or anything that will inhibit you from giving your best energy. Avoid open-toed shoes and jeans with holes in inappropriate places. If you have to question if it'll work on the platform, you might not need to wear it. For special events, there may be times where we send themed dress codes, so color coordination. Sound techs, please be sure when serving to wear all black and avoid bright colored clothing or shoes. Although you're in the sound booth, it doesn't mean that people don't see you. Equipment. Equipment must be properly placed in the designated area before and after every service and put away once you are finished serving. This includes all monitors, microphones, instruments, and cables. Remember to maintain your designated instrument area nice and tidy. It's easier to maintain a clean environment rather than constantly having to clean it up. Role and role privileges. Every team member plays an important role in our team. It's a privilege to carry out those roles with excellence and humility. Your team visionary. They cast vision, help maintain the health of the team, and keeps up to date, as well as knowing the current state of the team. The team visionary has open communication with senior leadership to know where to lead the congregation for each service and event. The team visionary helps nurture and take care of the team, building unity and creating spaces for ministry and connection as a team. Their role privileges are having calendar set for the year by season, collaborate the ideas with all head leaders for upcoming events, and shares ideas with senior leadership, communicate thoroughly with worship team on events and expectations, create space of fellowship and communion within the team, proficient to clearly communicate expectations and to make adjustments when necessary, have proficient understanding of each musical instrument and vocalist's role and how they interact with each other enough to communicate with MD and leaders. Your worship team admin helps the overall administrative aspect of the worship team. They help maintain order and accountability with all team members. The worship team admin works in tandem with the team visionary. Role privileges are speak with all leaders, musical and vocal, regarding the rostering of events of services, holds all team members accountable for the accountability guidelines, works with the team visionary to execute the organizational side of services and events. Musical leaders handle all musical aspects of service and events. They give musical directions during the service. Musical leaders work with worship leaders to craft the flow of the set, transitions, and arrangements of songs. Their job is to ease the worship leader into leading the congregation. They work even closer with the team visionary to be aware of what's happening in the community. Musical leaders roster all musicians with close communication with the worship admin. Their role privileges are rostering all musicians with a healthy rotation, work with rostered worship leaders to create song lists, structure, and keys, responsible for all instruments scheduled for a given service, communicate with the rostered musical team, responsible for providing technical feedback, and have basic knowledge of Ableton Live and Mainstage for a live setting. Your musical directors, MD. Your musical directors are responsible for all instrumentalists scheduled for any given service. MDs follow up with instrumentalists prior to, during, and after each service, encouraging team members and bringing correction when necessary. Their role privileges are responsible for knowing and being able to communicate all instruments and vocal direction parts to each song for a given service adequately enough to give direction and feedback using basic music theory, Nashville number system, and standard chord structures. They work closely with worship leaders to create arrangements and song transitions for a given service. They must be prepared to facilitate worship without tracks in the event of technology error or a planned free-flowing song, and lead musicians and vocalists with clear calls throughout the worship set. Musicians, instrumentalists. Musicians help lead the church in worship through live music and playing. Musicians are responsible for learning specific parts for each song for a given service. Their role privileges are responsible to come prepared musically, so knowing chord structures and arrangements for any set that they are rostered to serve, responsible of setup and teardown of their own respective instruments, sufficient understanding in using the M32Q app to adjust their in-ear mix. They provide technical feedback to the musical leader and listen to recordings and read over any notes from rehearsal sent if not present. Vocal leaders handle all vocal aspects of service and events. They follow up with vocalists prior to, during, and after each service, encouraging team members and bringing corrections when necessary. They work closely with musical leaders to know how to better prepare the vocalists. Vocal leaders roster all vocalists with close communication with worship admin. Their role privileges are roster all vocalists with healthy rotation, get to know the vocal capability of each vocalist, responsible to provide technical feedback, and responsible to give direction and feedback to each vocalist. Worship leaders. Worship leaders don't just sing songs. They're responsible for leading the congregation in an attitude of worship. They're responsible for the flow of service and the mood and readiness of the congregation to hear God's word. The role of the worship leader doesn't just start on a platform on Sunday, but it starts with a life dedicated to serving Jesus. Their role privileges are responsible to speak with the musical leader to create set list, must post set list of the designated service on Planning Center a week before rehearsal, share with the rest of the roster team on the selection of set list, listen to recordings and read over any notes from rehearsal sent if not present, sufficient understanding of using the M32Q app to adjust their in-ear mix. Co-worship leaders. Co-worship leaders have a similar role of that of a worship leader. They're co-leading the service with them. They're responsible for staying in sync and tag team with the congregation in one direction. Role privileges, responsible in assisting the worship leader and musical leader to create set list, must assist the worship leader in posting set list of the designated service on Planning Center a week prior to rehearsal, support the worship leader in leading the congregation, listen to recordings and read over any notes from rehearsal if rehearsal sent if not present, and sufficient understanding of using the M32Q app to adjust their in-ear mix. Vocalist. Vocalists help lead the church in worship through singing. They support the worship leader and the co-worship leader in leading the congregation. Their role privileges are responsible for learning lyrics and arrangements of songs, as well as specific harmonies or vocal parts as directed by the vocal leader. Listen to recordings and read over any notes sent from rehearsal if not present, and have a sufficient understanding of using the M32Q app to adjust their in-ear mix. Sound team. Roles and responsibilities. front of house, and monitors. Front of house is responsible for the sound that everyone hears in that room throughout the entire service, as well as mixing sound for each person who walks on stage with their own in-ears. Their role privileges are complement the band, vocalists, pastors, and speakers to amplify the sound for the congregation inside the temple. Managing monitors for individuals who need to hear themselves and each other on stage. So the band, vocalists, and translators. Monitor techs assist the band, vocalists, translators in having a mix that is right for them and complements their service. The ability to record audio for services when needed, and the ability to troubleshoot technical issues with audio and band. Please note that no one should be in the sound booth unless they are serving in sound that service. The sound booth is also not a locker room for everyone to place their stuff in. It's difficult for people to be walking in and out if the floor is covered with people's bags. Broadcast. Broadcast is responsible for facilitating the strength, clarity, and overall quality of audio during a service for internet streaming to provide the best service possible on any device. Their role privileges are accurately translate the sound that is happening in the temple to those watching online, and ability to troubleshoot audio issues. Sound check guidelines. So this is how the general flow of a sound check should be on a Sunday or any given service or event. So Sunday services as follows. 1, playing music in the lobby and outside. So making sure that there is music playing from the Bluetooth speakers and mini iPad in the lobby. As a band, we do a live check. So we start with the drums, checking the kick, the snare, the hi-hat, the toms, and then checking the entire kit as a whole. The bass, following up with the keys, guitar 1, guitar 2, and tracks. And during this moment is where only that specific instrument is playing and everyone else waits patiently for their turn. So be attentive to any questions, comments from MD or worship leaders. After band check, any mix changes will be applied. Vocal check. All vocalists will sing out with block chords from keys. Vocalists, it's important that you sing out during this time so that proper levels can be adjusted outside. Full band. After the first song from the set is finished, any mix changes will be applied. Sound check. Serving team will run through all songs and transitions, welcoming and offering moments and any specials, if applicable. Video check. At this time, production will test any videos needed for the day. Then we test the MC mics. So ensure that all MC mics are placed in their designated area and ready for use. Then we pre-brief with production team and pastors. Be attentive to planning center flows and floor manager, and be sure transmitters for production comms are on. And then have background music ready for when the congregation arrives. During the service, be professional, stay focused. It's very easy to miss your cue when you're distracted. Stay in your designated area. Don't wander or disappear. If you do need to leave, let someone know so that they can cover you for that time. Be attentive to questions and comments from team visionary, MDs, worship leaders, production, pastors, or if any team member is asking for any emergency changes on stage. It's encouraged not to make these changes during service, but occasionally, sometimes things happen that are extreme and need adjusting. Communicate specifically with things. Don't say things like, it sounds weird, or it's too low, it's too high, or it's bad. Verbalize what you hear and be specific as you can. After the set list finishes, vocalists will leave the mics in the piano area on the mic stand and bring their monitor packs back to the sound booth and pick them up as they go back from ministering. Please do not take them to the bathroom with you. Do not take them to the bathroom with you. Thank you. Have a good posture and stage presence because people are looking at you. Watch your facial expressions. Be mindful of smiling and looking like you're enjoying what you're doing. Engage with the people that are serving with you. Smile, nod, and have fun with them. And please make sure after third service or the event is finished, everything is turned off, batteries are charging, and everything is put away. Worship team accountability. Accountability, the quality or state of being accountable, especially an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's action. The worship team is more than a department, it's a ministry. If we're not wise to committing to excellence, humility, and unity within the ministry and our brothers and sisters in Christ, we can harm and miss out with what the Spirit wants to do in our team and congregation. Therefore, we must hold each other accountable to be proper stewards of bringing the best of ourselves with our service and commit to growth, development, and leadership. The following are accountability checks that one should keep in mind as we continue to commit to the team and leadership we'll be observing for. Am I properly communicating my absence to rehearsal and or service to leadership? This includes declining and accepting on planning center and providing a valid reason why. Am I arriving on time to designated call times? If you're going to be late for any reason, please communicate it to leadership. Is my attitude to adding to the atmosphere or is it taking away from it? A good and humble attitude is as noticeable as a bad and prideful one. Am I communicating my role with excellence? This includes all role privileges that are designated to your role. Failure to be accountable is grounds for disciplinary measure. All roles and privileges as ministers of the presence of God is a very serious responsibility, and it should never be taken lightly. Remember, we do not serve because we have to. We serve because we get to. So we hope that you take the time to really look over this playbook on your own time. Keep a copy with you, not only just a physical one, but a digital one to be able to reference back for any questions that you have. And if there's any questions or concerns that you have as you listen to this video and read through the playbook, please do not hesitate to let your leaders know. They're there for you every step of the way in your journey. For any questions, any guidance that you need, please let us know.